What do these two words mean to you? Do these two words strike fear in you, or do these two words motivate you? Your vision will determine that. Let's look at the definition of these two words, new normal. A new normal is a state to which an economy, society, etc. settles following a crisis when this differs from the situation that prevailed prior to the start of the crisis. That's an interesting definition. There's always a financial component that's tied to a new normal. A new normal will always show you where your blind spots are located. The majority of the population complains when there is a new normal present. This is how you can point out the audience that has mismanaged their finances. The act of complaining is the action that keeps this audience blind. They are not solutions oriented. The audience that has a growth mentality operates by the simple principle, no matter the circumstance. Money is an idea, not a currency. Once you understand its principle, currency will begin to flow to you because you have become a person of value, and value attracts currency. Over the next coming weeks, we're going to begin to unpack this concept of money is an idea and not a currency. Let's go. Let's get it.
Party, I'm in here grinding, money I'm stacking, while they rock diamonds. I can't relate to them, ain't much in common. I set a goal for me 2 or 3 commas. 7 figures, 8 figures to 9 figures. On a slow pace to get rich quick. Same time we just think different. Cause when you make it, it hit different.
What it do, baby? It's your partner Dale back in the saddle again for another edition of the Countermoves Podcast, guys. We take an issue, whether it be economic, social, political, unpack it together, put some wisdom to that thing, and prescribe the right solution, guys. So, man, thank you so much for blessing with your time, guys. This is going to be a really good one. So get your pens and papers out for this one. Man, we're going to dive into this thing, man. Man, I get asked this question a lot of the times concerning the economy. And if you could, guys, as we unpack this, share, like, and subscribe to the channel if this is giving you value. So let's dive into this real quickly. One of the questions I get a lot of the times is, because I'm in business development, real estate development, and finance, are always questions concerning the economy, inflation, deflation. And there's another Asian type of word that I'm hearing a lot more. And I kind of talked about this months ago, and I was kind of called crazy. But again, I operate by facts and data, guys. Man, it's this word called stagflation. So I had to ask the question, is stagflation on the horizon? We're going to talk about the real state of the U.S. economy. Okay? Again, facts and data. So you don't feel like facts and data, let's get that out here. But if you want to learn a little something, and again, offer me some solutions as well, guys, some wisdom as well, I welcome those ideas. But we need to be honest about what's going on in today's economy. So let's answer the question: what is stagflation? Now, this word to some of you guys may be new, but it's a word that's been around for a long period of time. And stagflation is very simple, guys. Let's look at it real fast. Stagflation is an economic cycle characterized by slow growth and a high unemployment rate accompanied by inflation, right? I want you to pay attention to that first section of the definition. Stagflation is an economic cycle characterized by slow growth and a high unemployment rate accompanied by inflation. There's a lot of that going on right now. Let's unpack this real fast. So I see, first and foremost, I see right here it says slow growth. We're going to look at if we have any slow growth today in today's economy, right? And high unemployment, right? We're going to look at that data as well, a little bit as well also, guys, right? Accompanied by inflation. This word inflation has been a really sore point for a lot of individuals because inflation is a stealth tax, okay? So this is going to be very insightful for you guys. So now we know what the definition of stagflation is. All right, let's read it again for the folk in the back row. It says stagflation is an economic cycle characterized by slow growth and a high unemployment rate accompanied by inflation. Right. So this is data driven. Right. So let's dive into this a little bit more, guys. All right. So now that we understand what this is, guys, let's answer this question real quickly. Is the economy about to return to the 1970s era stagflation? Well, guys, I thought it'd be wise for me to bring someone in to kind of unpack this a little bit for us as well, also, guys. And she is an investment banker by trade. That's what she does. So this is not some politician. This is someone actively in the market analyzing data and closing transactions. So she is an investment banker. I like real world people, not people that actually work in government that operate off of theory. This is people actually testing theory and actually implementing things to see if it works or not. Right. So this is an active investor. All right. We're gonna let her talk about this as well, and she's going to talk about answering this question: is the economy about to return to 1970s era of inflation? Here we go. Let's dive into this thing. Here we go.
Former investment banker. Carol, yes, last Friday, I think it was, the jobs report came out. It was much lower than expected.
Yeah.
And I started seeing things like Bank of America saying, we're in stagflation now. Are we?
So stop right there. Bank of America right now, what he's saying right now, Glenn said right now with Carol Roth, is Bank of America is saying that we're in stagflation now, or we're headed towards stagflation now. This is Bank of America, right? An active entity in the market. All right? This is Bank of America. Let's keep going.
And if so, what is it and what does it mean?
Well, let's first talk about some of these data points, Glenn, and then we can go into stagflation. First, we've seen a couple of bad data points. And as we've talked about before, the data is garbage. So we're doing the best we can to interpret.
So off the rip, Carol Roth, an former investment banker, is saying that the data that's out there right now is garbage. So right from the bat, she's saying, can't trust it. Let's keep going.
What it is that they're telling us without any sense of the actual reality behind us. But we saw before the jobs report that the first quarter GDP was down about 1% lower than expectations, down to 1.6% on an annualized basis. Then we get the April jobs report, and that is also down. It's the slowest job gain that we've seen in, I think, about 6 months, again, if you believe the data. Okay. And what that first is telling me is that all of this money that the government has spent to basically window dress the economy, to avoid the double dip recession, because remember, we did have a recession, 2 quarters of negative growth back in 22. Then we
Correct. So all folks saying that we're now in a recession, you're lying. She defined it properly. 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP. Let's keep going.
Opt out of it, and we sort of expected we might go down, but the government ran these massive deficits, about 2 times the historical average on a debt to GDP basis that we would normally see, and they tried to prop up the economy so it wouldn't show that we were in a recession at a very expensive cost, by the way.
So what she's saying right now, guys, she's saying that the numbers that were given to us were lies. They were trying to window dress us, spin us. This is a former active investment banker analyzing the data. Let's keep going.
The way, normally when you have an expanding economy, you would see a shrinking deficit.
Correct.
They have done the opposite. They ran a big deficit to try to create this appearance, and with an interest rate financing that deficit, at the largest point in 15 years.
Right.
So we know that we are not getting a good return now on this window dressing, and it is not creating these amazing outcomes for the economy, on the GDP front.
I like the fact that she said a return, because typically when it comes to a lot of politicians, they will say, we'll have to make these investments. But typically when it comes to investments, there is a rate of return. And so what she's saying is, we're getting this spin, this data saying it's X. She's looking at the fruit and saying, I'm not seeing what you are saying that we should be seeing, because you said, politician, that it was a investment. So what's the return? She said the return has been trash. Let's keep going.
Front on the jobs front, which again could turn around. It's one set of data points which shift. Stagflation is something that I've talked to you about. I've been talking about for years as a very possible outcome here. And it's very much what it sounds like. It is when the economy stagnates, when you have, a low growth number, but at the same time, you have inflation. So you have sort of the worst of all worlds. You're not making gains in productivity. You're not making, gains in wages and things like that. The economy is just hanging out, but you get this long-term sticky inflation, which again, we said was very likely because the government continued to spend at these massive levels and they were working against what the Fed was trying to do to bring down inflation. So they are actually at this point a likely cause of long-term inflation because we have to continue to finance these massive deficits. And so that's the
so right there, guys, remember what I was saying concerning inflation. You have two parties. You have the Federal Reserve and you have the government themselves, right? And both have their responsibilities, right? And they have to walk in accordance for there to be a balance in a debtor nation. What she's saying is you have the Fed trying to regulate this inflation by raising the rates, but you have the other partner, which is the government, right? Continuing to print at a massive amount of money. So what the government is doing is causing the inflation by printing out fake currency, just printing money. And inflation is just too much currency flowing to too few goods. She's describing this right now. She's almost done, guys. We're almost done. Here we go.
That's the reality of this sticky situation. When you hear somebody like JP Morgan's Jamie Dimon saying, I'm worried that the economy is going to look more like the 1970s than anything else, this is something that they experienced at that period of time. And he's seeing those parallels, although we are in a much worse fiscal situation from a fiscal foundation standpoint than we were, strangely enough, in the 1970s.
Because of our deficit and debt.
Correct.
Yeah. So
stop right there, guys. So that right there was a great diatribe of what she was saying. Again, a former investment banker, right, active person that's in the real world, not in theory world, giving facts and data concerning stagflation. And she's using Bank of America and JP Morgan Chase, a chairman and CEO, Jamie Dimon, and they're both saying the same thing. So Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase are saying stagflation. They both are saying this, right? So would you rather listen to the government or active people in the market? You be the judge. And not choosing is choosing. It is real simple, guys. So that was the data, guys, man. That right there was just so good. Now, let's look at some data. Some more data, okay? Look at some data real quick, real fast. All right, guys? Look at some data. And I hope before I go to the data, guys, I loved what she talked about how the rate of return, I have to go back to this point, is when you hear the word investments, because you hear a lot of politicians saying investments. Well, you get a rate of return when you invest into something. And what she's saying that there is no rate of return, and the return has been straight trash. That's what she's saying, and she's spot on, guys. Look at what's going on. It's if you're going to operate off of fiscal terms and definitions like investments, we can't negate a return on that investment because that investment has been straight trash. Most individuals that I talk to today, they're really concerned about the economy, specifically the volatility of it. Now, the area of their concerns really centers around the variable of inflation. And inflation right now is really outpacing people's wages, number one. And number two, it's beginning to affect their 401k and IRAs because their retirement accounts are connected or intertwined with the stock market. Over the years, I've been fairly successful in real estate investing. Currently, I own about $35 million worth of real estate. under management, and also my partner and I have been able to build our private equity and venture capital firm to about $1.2 billion worth of assets under management. Now, this success has taken place in up or down economies. Now, whenever there's volatility in the market, opportunities begin to show up. There are 3 investment strategies that, if implemented the correct way, any investor can go from 0 to 6 figures in the next 6 to 12 months. Click on the link below or swipe up, and let's talk through these strategies. Now, guys, let's dive into the data. Let's look at the data real quickly, guys. We got to go to our partners, man, from Valuetainment, and they actually offered a lot of things. And we're going to talk about inflation. President Biden went on to, I believe it was CNN or NBC, and they were talking about inflation, guys. Let's talk through this real fast. Let's see what's going on here, and we're going to see what he actually says. Again, we're going to walk through the data. Here we go. Let's see what he says.
Actually 1.4%. This is a New York Post. Rob, I don't know if you have the video or not. Is there a video of him saying that? If you can play this video, watch this clip here, folks. Okay, go ahead and play this.
No president's had the run we've had in terms of creating jobs and bringing down inflation. It was 9% when I came to office. 9%.
He says that without even flinching. Now, so 9% when he came into office. Let me read the full story. President in a rare interview dismissed concerns over inflation potentially affecting his re-election, claiming Americans have ample funds to spend despite rising prices, stating they have the money to spend, right? That's the same story with New York Post. Despite acknowledgement of inflation reality and the impact on consumers' confidence, Biden attributed to the issue to greedy corporations. So he's blaming the corporations.
Wow.
Defending his administration's handling of the economies amidst growing criticism and negative poll ratings. Biden's defiance against inflation worries contrast with public sentiment and polling data, with concerns mounting over economic management. So here's where I'm going with this, Tom. When did they change the way they measure inflation?
I love that question right there. Because, guys, you're going to see some data. I've talked about this before in other Countermoves podcasts of how the Biden administration changed the way they calculate inflation. Watch what happens. You're going to see this, right? This is what I mean by the spin, facts, data, numbers. Here we go.
In what respect? What do you think?
Do you remember when they used to do it? They used to do it the way they measured inflation was every 2 years.
Yeah. Yes.
And then they changed it to measuring inflation every 12 months. I don't know if you remember that.
Yes.
Correct.
Do you remember that?
This was like maybe 2 years ago.
Let me pull this up to just a very changing way you measure inflation from 24 months to 12 months.
So remember we covered it here on the pod a year ago.
So here's what I want to ask. Rob, can you show if we have that or not? Brandon, if you have that, if you can text that over, if you can text that over about what do you call it? The fact that they change it from 24 months to 12 months.
12 months.
Okay.
Watch, guys.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing with that. When they changed it from 24 months to 12 months, what was the reasoning for it?
Listen.
What was the reasoning for it?
Listen.
The reasoning for it is some claim that going from 24 to 12 months actually showed the rates were lower. And people would...
So we on some bullshit now. So they were trying to show you a low number, which is not factually accurate. Let's keep going. We're almost there.
Say if we were shown the 24-month rate, inflation is actually such and such. It was always higher than what they reported.
Yeah.
Right? And the U.S. government had a number that were reporting for inflation versus what it actually was. So what is the likelihood, and I know this is a crazy question I'm asking about him, what is the likelihood that Biden is saying 9% because maybe it was 9% on the way they measure that works against Trump.
Correct.
But saying it's lower now on the measurement that works in favor of Biden. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So it's kind of like saying, well, in this category, the way these guys calculate on the golf score of these three categories, that is the old way of doing it. Yes, it was 9.1%.
Correct.
But for us, I'm going to measure it on this one that's a little bit more friendly to me. We're only at 3.9.
You see the spin? You see the spin? Man, you see the spin. If you got to be a little bit more careful. Listen closely to the spin. Here we go.
Do you think that's what Biden did, or do you think he was just delusional lying?
First of all, if I think about the man, Biden, I think he was probably mistaken. However, you bring up a great point. It's been the great game of politics to find the number you like, the way you like to measure it, and find somebody, some think tank, some department of the government. Oh, the Treasury Department says this, but the Department of Agriculture said this. How can you be talking about crops if the agriculture number I like, and then, the agriculture is going to favor themselves. I'm going with the Treasury Department. There's always been this game on find the number you like and then use that and beat up the other guy. But in this case, I think Biden is just plain mistaken. I think he's absolutely mistaken. Like maybe he looked at his own reports that showed that when we had peak inflation in 2022, it was 9, ladies and gentlemen. When you put the entire basket of goods and the total impact on the American consumer, it was 9. Correct. As a matter of fact, some say that it was even worse. Correct. But they say, well, we're not including energy, or we are including energy. Again,
you see how they take things out? We're not including this. We're not including agriculture. We're not including this stuff, all this stuff at all. It's important for you to understand these facts so you know when you're being BS'd or not. Just keep going.
The parlor game here. In this case, I think Biden was just mistaken because, I mean, this is a guy that's reading teleprompters and getting mistaken the last 2 weeks. And he doesn't do well, just to be objective, not picking on him and not being bombastic. He hasn't done well in sort of analytical type interviews going back and forth. And I think in this case, he's just mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, he was very analytical in this interview, Rob, if you want to play it.
My theology professor at the Catholic school I went
to. So they go a little bit deeper into that thing, guys, there. But man, do you see it? You see it? Do you see how the spin actually works? You see how it works, guys? They just spin it. And so what happens is, and this happens, to be honest with you, to be fair, it happens in all administrations, whether it be Republican or Democrat, to be fair. But this is so bad, guys, to where you begin saying that Biden saying that when he got into the office, it was at 9%. No, it was not. It was at 1.4% at the inflation rate when he got into office. It went at 9%. And get this, guys, and look how they actually changed the calculations from being every 24 months to now every 12 months so that they can say, look, our policies are working. Man, look what's going on. And consumers are saying, wait a minute, I'm not feeling what you're saying because, man, gas is up. Man, buying eggs is up. I mean, buying chicken is up. Steak is up. Vegetation's up. Groceries is up, man. My electricity bill is up. Like, what are you seeing that I'm not seeing? Am I going crazy? No, you're actually accurate. You are feeling the return on this falsified investment. Again, if you're feeling the effects of inflation, you're not on a hypnosis. It is real. It is real, guys. Now, guys, we got to go somewhere else, guys. We have to go a little bit deeper into this thing. All right, guys, let's dive into this here. Now, look at the data again. Now, this is going to be someone talking about President Biden's chief economist point of view. Now, you've seen kind of the numbers a little bit, and I didn't want to bother you with a whole bunch of numbers because they get kind of boring. But you hear that real-time talk of what's actually going on. And here in a second, I want you guys to see exactly what actually happened. Oh, here we go. I just found it. Here we go. Just found it. I just found how they changed the inflation rate. Here we go. Let's go back here. Here we go. I want y'all to see this.
This is not bro, I'm saying to you. You just said the Inflation Reductionary Act caused inflation to tamper and go lower. Then you're saying the Inflation Reductionary Act actually had...
How Adam said this, Adam was the one that actually said that the government passing the Inflation Production Act, you notice I said Inflation Production, not Reduction, Production Act, which is this Congress or the government printing more money. That's all that is. He's saying that actually brought down inflation. That didn't make any fiscal sense because you're infusing fake capital into an already inflationary economy. It didn't make any sense what he's saying, but let's keep going. Here we go.
It had nothing to do with inflation. It had to do with chips. So if it didn't have to do anything with inflation reduction, it had to do with right there. Look at this here. According to nonpartisan congressional joint committee, the law that will raise $738 billion tax reform, prescription drug reform to lower prices, and authorize $891 total billion in spending, including $783 on energy and climate change.
Look at this.
And 3 years of affordable care subsidies. These are all taxes.
Yes.
The law represents the largest investment into climate change in U.S. history. Yet it's
you see the word investment? You hear? Again, investment. Whenever you hear the word investment, rate of return. Immediately think rate of return. Immediately. All right, here we go.
Called Inflationary Reductionary Act. This thing had nothing to do with reducing inflation.
Thank you. Nothing at all.
So I know we want
nothing at all, guys. Okay, guys. Whenever you hear the word inflation reduction. I'm sorry. Whenever you hear the word investments, immediately from any politician, no matter level, immediately think about rate of return. What's the rate of return? And don't settle for generalities. We had great jobs being created. No, that's some bullshit. Give me what's the rate of return. Give me the actuals, not the projections. Give me the actuals. Okay? I'm trying to teach you how to question these politicians because there's an election coming up. And you have to be able to know how to ask the right questions so that you can begin to know who are weasels and who are not weasels, guys. Again, whenever you hear the word, right, investments, immediately think of, okay, rate of return. Immediately. Whether you are a seasoned or novice investor, we all know that with uncertain times or volatile times, that creates opportunities. Now, with these new opportunities, only the implementation of the correct strategies will separate that average investor from that great investor. There are 3 strategies that, if implemented the right way with the correct team around you, any investor can go from 0 to 6 figures, maybe even 7 figures in the next 12 to 24 to 36 months. Click on the link below or swipe up and let's talk through these strategies. All right, guys, let's dive into the thinking behind all of the spin. It's important for you to understand the audience communicating these details so you can understand how to countermove what they're actually saying, all right? And begin to question, see if it even makes any sense at all, guys, all right? Let's dive into this, man. You're going to hear a commentary of President Biden's chief economist. His chief economist actually went on the show, and they asked him a question concerning money. Again, this is President Biden's chief economist. We're going to get a commentary of what he actually said, and then we're going to listen to what he actually said. Y'all, I'm playing this guy so you can understand the mentality leading the country right now and how it's vital for you to understand terms and definitions. Here we go. Let's dive into this real quickly. Let's go and get into it. Here we go.
This out. Bernstein kicks off confidently asserting that, quote, the U.S. government cannot go bankrupt because we print our own money.
Stop right there. What the hell? Let that sink in. President Biden's chief economist point of view is the federal government, U.S. government, cannot go bankrupt because we can just print our own money. I'm going to let you guys know what he's operating by, the principle he's operating by, but let that sink in, guys. You see how dumb that sounds? Let's keep going, though. It gets worse.
This would be news to the hundreds of countries that have gone bankrupt, defaulting on trillions of dollars in debt despite very enthusiastically printing their own money.
Wow.
Indeed, this very moment, 5 countries are in default, including Lebanon, Belarus, Ghana, and Sri Lanka. Dozens more are swirling the drain. It gets worse. The interviewer then asked Bernstein, if the government prints its own money, why do they borrow? Why not just print it all?
Great question.
The answer is bad, like scary bad. After fumbling for about 15 seconds, he finally manages to form a coherent sentence. How the government issues bonds to lend money. This is, of course, not how debt works. Debt is for borrowing money, not lending it. Normal people know this. Biden's chief economist apparently does not.
This is sad.
Wait, before I even get to part 2, do you understand how freaking stupid Joe Biden's lead economic advisor is? He thinks that the government, by borrowing people's money, people lending the government money to buy bonds. That's what you do, right?
Correct.
You get a bond. Everyone knows what a government bond is.
Yes.
You're giving the government money. The president's lead economic advisor, I'm not kidding. I'm going to play it for you in a second. That's why I played it in reverse. Actually thinks that they're giving you money when you buy a bond. Holy shit, bro.
Let that sink in. I want y'all to let that sink in. Burn it on your brain. This is the thinking leading the country right now. The thinking, the rationale. His chief economist believes that the consumer or the American citizen is not giving the government money. He believes that the government is giving the consumers the money. Makes no sense at all. At all. Let's keep going.
This really happened.
Yes.
This is the president's lead economic guy. He doesn't understand that. My dog Lucy understands that.
Now watch this, guys. Now you've heard the commentary, right? You've heard the commentary. Let's actually realistically go and hear, right? Let's hear President Biden's chief economist, a person that actually advises on policies that governs your life. We're going to hear him actually say this on camera, live. The whole thing. Here we go. Let's listen to this, man. This is just crazy. Here we go. Let's go with it.
President's main economic advisor, who is going to dictate your economic life for the next 4.5 years should we lose. He doesn't even understand that a government bond is not the government lending anyone money. It's taking people's money.
Correct.
He has no idea.
Listen to this.
Watch.
The government even borrow?
Well, again, some of this stuff gets, some of the language that some of the language and concepts are just confusing. I mean, the government definitely prints money, and it definitely lends that money, which is why the government definitely prints money, and then it lends that money by selling bonds. Is that what they do? They sell bonds. Yeah, they sell bonds, right? Because they sell bonds and people buy the bonds and lend them the money. So a lot of times, at least to my ear with MMT, the language and the concepts can be kind of unnecessarily confusing, but there is no question that the government prints money and then it uses that money to I guess I can't really talk. I don't get it. I don't know what they're talking about. Like, cause it's like the government clearly prints money. It does it all the time, and it clearly borrows. Otherwise we wouldn't be having this debt and deficit conversation. So I don't think there's anything confusing there.
I got to tell you, I saw that already. I'm just watching the chat. The people in the chat, they can't believe it.
It's President Biden's chief economic advisor. That's his point of view. Yeah, rewind that again, guys, because he actually mentioned something called MMT, which is modern monetary theory. He operates by modern monetary theory. I did a Countermoves podcast on what that is and how it works. Go rewatch it. That's President Biden's chief economic advisor or economist. He doesn't know how this stuff works. Y'all, we in some trouble. We in some trouble. You can't make this crap up, y'all. My reaction, y'all. Y'all, we in some trouble. That's the thinking advising our president. That's the thinking. someone who is an economist that doesn't know how economics works. That's the thinking, guys. Congratulations. You voted for that. Those that voted for him, you voted for that. Nice type of praise. Yes, sir. Right there. Yeah. What's the real state of the economy, guys? The economy right now is a crap show. It's a shit show. It's just not. Inflation is up. They lying about that. They spending talking about the Inflation Production Act helped out. Did not at all. All there was government subsidies, and a part of the government subsidies of the Inflation Production Act actually was actually put in there was for Obamacare as well, because Obamacare was inflating the cost of health care. So they put some more subsidies in the Inflation Production Act for Obamacare. The hell out of here, man. Y'all, man. And they're operating by modern monetary theory. What that means, guys, is the government believes that they can print as much money as they want, and they expect inflation to happen, but they can control the inflation by forcing you not to buy certain things. For example, if they print out all this money, and let's say inflates in the beef industry, right? There's inflation in that area, and you try to go buy beef. What they're planning in the future is they could say, "Hey, LaDale," or "Hey, you can't buy beef today in your area," because in their minds they can control inflation by controlling what you buy. That's modern monetary theory. That's why they're getting. That's what they're setting up right now, guys. Mm-hmm. And Biden's chief economist, I would say, spoke about MMT, right, in the video that I just showed you. So yes, we have inflation. Yes, we have a high unemployment rate. Let me dive into unemployment rate. Now, why do I say that? Guys, you should know that foreign-born workers are more employed than American-born workers by 1 million jobs. Let me say it again for the folk in the back row. Foreign-born workers. This is according to the BLS, Bureau of Labor and Statistics. Foreign-born workers are outpacing American-born workers when it comes to jobs. Now get this, and most of the jobs, guys, are part-time jobs, not full-time jobs. But they're telling you that the unemployment rate is low. The devil's in the details, guys. Come on. Stop the cap. And guys, inflation, do you know why they changed that inflation to every year instead of every 24 months? It's because inflation compounds. It compounds all the time. It compounds every year. Give an example. Remember, we talked about 9% inflation rate in 2022, right? And then the next year was around, like, I believe 2023 was around like 5 or 6%, somewhere around there, I believe. Don't quote me. It compounds, so it's 9 plus 5% is 14% inflation rate. So they changed it to every year so they could not, in their calculations, compound. You see the BS? Read. You got to read books, guys. Read books, because they ain't gonna read them for you. They're not, guys. They're not at all. Eggs is up. Chicken is up. Rice up. Groceries is up. Gas is going up. You understand what happened with gas, right? In the midterms, guys, what did Biden do to try to win that election? And it was very effective. What he did was he drained the oil reserves that are meant for wartime. So when we go to war, we have reserves, right? Reserves, right? And with those reserves, that's for if we get tight on oil, we can use those reserves. In 2022, President Biden drained those reserves to almost a breaking point so that he could say that, look, my policies are working. It's going down. While at the exact same time, buying oil from Venezuela. while at the exact same time saying that I've approved 9,000 leases. You see the BS? You see it? Again, understand this stuff so that you can begin to vet these candidates the right way. One of the CEOs of one of my companies, American Airlines, which you'll learn about in a second, he went up to Capitol Hill, I believe last month, right? To speak to 5 congressmen. He said, LaDale, all the staffs up there, which I knew, are fresh out of college in their 20s. These Bamas ain't never had a real-time job, but they're making decisions in legislation on multi-trillion-dollar bills. I am not surprised Biden's chief economist is a buffoon. Because look, he has no real-world experience. Potentially. I don't know. Allegedly. I don't know. Allegedly. I don't know. But those that are actually on these congressmen's, right, on Congress's staffs and senator staffs, they're straight out of college. No real world experience. They have no experience about making jobs, growing a business, paying payroll, right? Nothing. But they're making decisions because they know what's best without no real world experience. Straight trash. If you want to believe that, I got some swamp land. When you talk about in Louisiana, you're going to lose money every single month, but it's a great investment. That's what they be telling you all the time. And you cool with it. Man, do not be surprised if I show up at your house buying it. I'll buy it, boy. I always say, see it at the auction. See it at the auction, baby. Show will. Man, bruh. This was sad, man. So to answer the question, guys, is inflation on the horizon? The stagflation. The answer is yes. Why? Because of the fact that the commonalities of it is slow growth. We have that, right? High unemployment, we have that, but they're spending that. And we have combined inflation, we have that. We have all 3 of those factors. That is the reasoning why Bank of America and Jamie Dimon, the chairman of JP Morgan Chase, 2 of the biggest banks in the world, are saying we're headed toward stagflation. Real world facts. Data, numbers. All right? So, guys, okay, what is the counter move, guys? What's the counter move, man? You hear? I always start with this way, guys. Peep it, sweep it, and keep it, guys. Let's start with the people section real fast, all right? Examine your current situation. That's the peep it section. Think about it like this. When you go out into the world and you are facing the kitchen table things, right? Is gas costing you more money? Right? Is groceries costing you more money? Right? Is clothing costing you more money because you have kids going to school? Right? Does your dollar go that doesn't go as long as it should? Did you manufacture a pay raise by borrowing more money and putting it on your credit cards? Think about that. Is that what you did? Right? Now that we understand where you're at, what is your strategy moving forward? That's the sweep it side. One strategy is some people just want to put their heads down in the sand and say, I don't even do nothing about it. Okay, if that's the case, stop complaining. If you're okay with everything going well, or going the way what it is right now, right? Don't complain. I don't want to hear nothing. But if you want to be honest, right, and you want to be honest with that, that's fine. If you want to be honest, say, you know what, I'm in some trouble. Man, this is not going well. My strategy's not doing well at all. I can tell you that the first thing you can do right here, guys, is do not look for politicians to solve your problems. They are better at creating problems. Because again, you have non-tenured thinking in government, no real world experience at all, making government decisions that govern your life. Is that the right environment for you to place your trust in to get a proper solution? Hell no. That'd be my answer, right? And then I say, guys, okay, all right, keep it. Start thinking generationally, right? Now that you understand where you are, know that you have to change, right? Right? Now you got to look at, okay, how can I prescribe a solution? Your solution has to live beyond you. It cannot end with you. If it begins and ends with you, you have already failed. I say this all the time on every single Countermoves podcast. If your solution begins and ends with you, you have failed. A solution, a true solution, should stay 3 generations after you. 3, and it should get better every single generation. Have you ever wondered how the Rothschilds and the Vanderbilts, 2 big financially astute families, how the Rothschilds have remained strong and the Vanderbilts lost their wealth throughout the generations? Because on the Rothschild side, right training fiscally. On the Vanderbilt side, wrong training fiscally. So that you see the Rothschilds growing up in wealth and stature and the Vanderbilts going down. Do you see what I mean by if your solution begins and ends with you, you have already failed? That is a fact. I'm the first multimillionaire in my family. The first one. The going first is normally the hardest. It really is. It's normally the hardest. You hit every single pothole. But I would much rather be the first than not one at all and depending upon the government to bail me out. Now, I'm not saying that the government shouldn't be involved in the decision making at all. No, because the government can offer some assistance in its proper context. Yes, it can. Yes, it can. For instance, one of my good friends has a very successful clothing model. I've actually worn one of their shirts, famous enough. Very successful. 7 figures all day long. Easy. Killing it. They partnered with the SBA, right? To acquire their building, right? And to help grow their business. After they were making 7 figures. Again, that's the government shaking hands with free market capitalism and walking together. And they're still killing the game. Killing the game. Love them brothers, man. But man, I always tell everybody, it's time to turn your side hustle into an enterprise. If you're not making enough, if every month is a struggle, right? It's time to rethink your planning. Rethink your planning. This is the reason why down below I actually have links for real estate training, wealth training, you name it, it's right there, guys. Why? If I am the solution for you, great. If not, no problem. I'll point you in the right direction. That's okay. But it's time to put down the phones when you're not learning something on it. And it's time to put down the remote control, put down the chips, man, and begin to invest in the greatest asset you can invest in, which is yourself. Because why I said it because 3 generations are depending upon you. 3 are depending upon your decision making. Be the first. Be the first. Does that make sense, guys? Man, guys, give me your thoughts. What do you think, guys? Am I off base? Comment below. Man, I hope this helped you out, guys. Now, tomorrow at 5 p.m., guys, CST, Cliff and I are doing Real Estate Friday training. It's free on all platforms, guys. And I think we may be on TikTok tomorrow, too. I want to confirm that. But for those that want to hear this on TikTok, we may be on TikTok as well, guys. And we talk about the current market analysis, guys. And then we also talk about what's going on. And we also give a proper solution that you can implement now and make 5, 10, 20 grand with the right investment, guys. Real simple, guys. And guys, we do have a sponsor, American Rounds, guys. For disclosure, I am a owner of this firm. It is the first AI-powered ammo vending machine, right? Ammo vending machine in your local grocery store, guys. You got to drive 20, 30, 40 miles to go buy ammo. Just go around the corner, man, to your grocery store and get you some ammo, guys. It's safe, secure, and guys, it's more safer than buying it at the big box stores, guys. Watch, here we go, guys. They're one of our new sponsors. Here we go.
American Rounds. We are in Pell City, Alabama at Fresh Value grocery store installing the first ever automated retail machine for ammunition. The stores were really the inspiration for it. I mean, they knew their customer base, and they came to us and thought this would be a really good opportunity for their customer base. There's a lot of hunting community here in Pell City, and thought that their customers would love an opportunity to be able to buy ammunition here at the store.
We're super excited to offer, what we think is the first ammo kiosk. We're always looking for ways to give our customer another reason to come visit our stores. Anything that we can do to help them make their shopping trips easier based on the feedback that we've gotten just from customers today. They are so excited about us having the ammo kiosk.
We're getting ammo!
One of the ways we're changing the landscape of ammunition sales is to make it more available. Being able to move into a place like a grocery store, supermarket makes it a lot more available to the public. But we're taking a different approach to it. Traditionally, ammunition is sold at outdoor type stores, your sporting goods stores, and it just sits on a shelf. It's very accessible. Because of that, there's a high rate of theft. But with our machines, as you can see here, we have a very secure automated retail machine. We're able to age verify. We scan a driver's license. It then takes 360 facial recognition for the purchase and matches it to the ID. So the machines really provide an opportunity for safe, affordable, and available ammunition sales.
There is no doubt that foot traffic will increase based on the feedback that we've gotten. And again, we're super excited not only to have it here, but in other locations in Fresh Value as well.
We're really excited about where we're going. We are going to continue to expand here in Alabama. We have a machine slated to go into Oklahoma, Louisiana, Texas. So over the next year, we're looking forward to, seeing these roll out all throughout the South and the Southeast.
Guys, that's American Rounds, guys. American Rounds go on all platforms. It's at American Rounds, guys, on all social media platforms. You can click below in the description section and click on the link there, go to AmericanRounds.com, guys, and you can see if we're in your area, guys. We're rolling out about another 20 to 30 machines next 60 days. By the end of the year, we'll be at about 100, and in the next 24 months, we're trying to be at around about close to 1,000 machines, guys. And our goal is to solve the problem of ammo being sold to minors, as well as to any criminals at all, by inviting an AI technology to be able to verify the person that is actually acquiring the ammo is as of age, right, and matches their driver's license so that it's a safe and secure type of scenario. This kind of really bridges that gap and solves a lot of the problems. We're getting a lot of buy-in from local governments and states and towns, guys, and cities. So, man, it's pretty cool. We're pretty excited about it, guys. But, man, guys, if you have any questions about it, let me know. I can point you in the right direction. You saw the CEO, Grant Majors, and also the CEO, Lawrence, in as well also. But, guys, thanks so much for your time. Give me your thoughts, man. Was this a good topic to go over? If you want me to go a little bit more deeper into what this is, let me know. And if you guys could, follow the Wife School podcast. She's a good friend of mine. She's been a frequent watcher of the Countermoves Podcast. So thank you for your support, guys. Follow her, guys. She's a wonderful person, guys. But guys, thank you so much for your time, guys. I end it every single time, guys. Before you leave, and while you can, you see that thing, baby. Take that damn picture and give it to your mama and them. And holler at your partner, guys. See you guys next week. Peace.